and think about it. Is that logical? Anytime the convo starts to be illogical, they're full. Can you record it?
Yeah, I can. I just don't
Bro.
record it.
Okay, so how many no-shows did you have?
I think like 2.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're watching this right now, go sign up for Elite CEOs. 100% worth it. I think I've always had it in me, you know, like when I was 7, 8 years old, I was going door to door knocking, just selling bracelets, making YouTube videos, just doing things for fun that, you know, I kind of have always wanted to do. I have an older brother, he's 4 years older than me, probably like my biggest mentor. I respect him a lot. He sat me down, he wrote down every single thing about like everything he learned up until that time, about how our family wasn't doing so well, about how, you know, he learned so much from posting TikToks. So I do that. I post like things I'm just passionate about, life hacks, stories, just, you know, things to do to make your life easier. And then in a really short period of time, I built 1 million followers. I think it was in like 3 months on TikTok. I was like, this is crazy. Started doing a lot of promos, started helping apps specifically. So like we had a lot of affiliate deals with apps. We just promote them through our TikToks, and then we'd also help them with their ads because we like sort of understood how to create content. And then fast forward a year, across all of our accounts, my brother and I built a little over 10 million followers, just, you know, doing things we were really passionate about. And then one thing led to another. People saw that the apps we were promoting were doing really well. We had founders reaching out to us asking if we could help promote their apps, and then we sort of started helping with that, and we're like, hey, maybe there's something to this. So ever since, we've just been helping apps scale their user acquisitions. Like, I think by the end of this, my goal is to be comfortable like 5-10xing ad spend. And then along with that comes all the questions: how to hire a sales team, how to train people, how to manage a team, fulfillment, making sure that people actually go through the course and like they're doing everything that we ask them to, how much to price our services at, just all that stuff. So at the end of it, I have to be like, okay, I'm confident going home and just like cranking up ad spend.
All right.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Good,
Good to see you.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey, you're tall, man. You're tall.
Yeah, man.
Well, dude, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, dude. So we have a done-for-you agency, which we've been running for the past like 3 years. That's just helping apps scale user acquisition, getting them downloads. So we manage everything from the ad creatives to the back end, like, you know, doing the media buying, the organic content, all of that stuff. So that right now is doing about like 80-ish K a month. And then recently we launched a coaching program like 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And then that's just teaching it what we do. So I think we spent like 3K on ads so far, got like 85-ish book calls, so like $30 a booked call right now.
30, how many book calls?
I think 85.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've taken, I think 30, closed 3 sales, so like the sales numbers haven't been that great just yet.
Okay.
But super, super qualified leads. I think the biggest issue, I'll dive into that in a second, I'll give you the rest of the numbers. So we have, 30 calls, 3K spent. So it's a VSL, which is taking them to a VSL.
Right.
Running Facebook ads, and then they just book a call.
Okay.
So it's a 1 call close, and that's like, I think that's mostly specific. Oh, we're selling a 6K package.
6K.
Yeah.
We probably will definitely want to look at your sales because that's like way too low.
Yeah.
I mean, even at 30%, that'd be 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, we'll get into that. So, what's the plan with this before we go into this? So, what's the plan here?
So I view that as like the testing ground. So every new strategy we have, we just like implement within our clients that we're really hands-on with.
Okay.
But the goal is like once this takes that over, I think just like completely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe having that like our ascension.
So right now, are you kind of running both businesses?
Yeah, my brother's taking care more of the agency, and I'm like full in on the coaching.
Okay, and you guys work together?
Yeah, we do.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, just from personal experience, that would be the move. Because like if you think like it's harder to do 80K a month than 160K a month.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because it's different offer, different creatives, different marketing, different sales. It's like so. I just know that because of my business. Okay,
so really quick with the agency, we don't run any. It's just pure referrals. So like that's.
Oh wow, so that's
like
so that's actually super easy. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that might be okay because if you take out all that and it's just fulfillment, that's actually clutch.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's just straight profit, which is amazing. Okay. That's like minus obviously the fee expense.
Right.
Okay, so for this one, you're doing ad, and then I'm assuming opt-in, and then it's a VSL, right?
Actually, there's no opt-in, so it's just straight.
Oh,
to the
so you don't
VSL.
even do that.
Yeah.
So you get no info.
Yeah, it's bad.
Why do you do that though?
I think right now we don't have the infrastructure to like call people right when they sign up.
I know, but what about even just emails and texts, like automated text and emails? No?
Yeah, we don't do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really, bro?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And what's your lead cost? Do you know what your lead cost is on this?
So like per book.
85 calls. I mean, that's like, yeah, you said
Yeah,
what,
we're getting
35?
like $30 book calls right
That's
now.
crazy. And then what's your lead cost, do you know? It's gotta be super low. Well, technically you don't really have a lead because they're just going here. So like, what's the
so
click?
the cost per click? I think it's around like $3 or $4 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when they come here, there's a form, right? What do you use as a form?
Calendly.
Calendly, okay. And then I'd be curious, like, what are the questions? What are the questions you ask?
So we ask them their app website, explain your app in 1 to 3
So wait,
sentences.
yeah, just so I'm clear, the people signing up are the people that's like, hey, I have an app, I want to scale it. And you're like, okay, here, we'll show you how.
Yep.
That's what you're doing. Okay, so it's very unique market. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's really unique for you because it separates you from all the other coaching immediately by being like, we do apps. It's really good.
We ask them if they have at least $5K to invest into the growth of their app.
Okay. The cool news is like you made 3 sales on, so you made 9K on 3K, but that
So I made
number,
18K on.
Oh, 6,
3.
right. So imagine if you actually closed at 30%. I
Right.
mean, you would have made.
And I still have 45 calls left to take. So it's
Like, how far out are you booked? Did you guys turn the ads off, or are you still running them?
No, we're still running them. So we slowly started to scale like 10% every single day. So like it's.
Oh, here, go to the. Okay,
Yeah. So this is the page.
Okay.
It's a short 5-minute VSL, and then.
Yeah. So let's just see the calendar though. Okay. So
Yeah.
first thing right here. Stop. I know you're booked out, but you're gonna get more. How many no-shows did you have? Do you know?
I think like 2.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, that means you have a really good offer.
Yeah.
Because if people are all showing.
We have a pretty insane guarantee.
How are you able to guarantee those downloads?
Yeah,
Is it just either a low promise, or like how are you able to guarantee?
Yeah,
that?
so it's 10,000 downloads in 90 days at their optimal acquisition cost. So it's like mainly through ads.
But what does that mean through optimal acquisition cost? That means if you get the 10,000 downloads and it's above, then
So-
you have to pay them back?
No. So it's essentially how it works is, let's say you have an app and you're trying to get like $4 cost per acquisition. So like you're willing to pay $4 for every install. So it's like whatever their optimal acquisition cost is, if they can't get there within the 90 days of our program, then they get their money back, given that they do everything that we tell them to do.
Okay. Like, let me ask you this. On the 30 calls, how many do you think were qualified? And if they were all qualified, why couldn't you sell more?
Out of the 30 calls, I probably have like 12 follow-ups. So
But that's not good, though. That means you're not
Yeah.
selling. So what was the issue? Like, do you think it's just you suck at sales, or do you think they shouldn't have been on the call, they didn't have the money? What was the
I think
issue?
timing is definitely one, and that does come down to like me selling properly, and then probably my sales skills and handling objections.
So, like, give me an example of the main objection you got. So,
The
hey,
biggest
$6,000.
The biggest thing is just like, this is perfect. Like, I want to do this for sure. It's just like we haven't launched yet. So even if I go through a program, like I'm not going to be marketing.
Right. So,
anything.
okay. So here's what I do. So we scroll up. So, phone number, app name, app website. That's fine. Explain what your app does in 1 to 3 sentences. Open-ended, and then I'd add a question in there that says, "Is your app currently live?" And if they say no, let's say someone's like, "Hey, I can't start for a month."
Right.
We'll reach out and say, hey, no problem. What we'll do is if you feel to fit, we'll put down a deposit and then you can start when you're ready. So then you're not doing all these follow-ups and it's more of, okay, so you want to start in a month, you'll put down a deposit and then you stay in touch so you're not doing all this follow-up.
Yeah.
Because follow-ups will kill you, bro, especially when a lot of people are wasting your time. So I would do that and then, so here's what the question should be. Is your app currently live? And then I put, if not, are you willing to put down a refundable deposit to secure your spot if you feel it's a fit? Because if they say no, there's no reason for you to have all these calls for days on end. You're just wasting your time.
That's so smart.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and leave it open-ended. The bare minimum right here, you can, at the very least, if you could do text and emails, that'll push them through. And that's easy because like, click of a button, you can get our downloads, boom, go and change it, you're done. Like just do 7 days, that's it. So like that'll be 7 days. Not even 7, you'll do like 2 maybe in like 7 days, 2 to 3, and this would be like 7 emails right here. Okay, so next thing is, unless do you have questions?
No, I don't. I think that's
Straightforward.
Yeah.
It's and your offer is fire.
Yeah.
Your offer is fire.
Appreciate it.
And I guess the other thing is like, because your TikTok's so big, do you drive traffic with that? Or is that how you guys have gotten that?
I think that served as kind of like the stepping stones, just showing that we had the credibility. We don't use it though. We don't like actively use it. But I think in the future we're gonna start running ads from it.
Well, I don't even think you need to run ads. Like, do you
Just
guys
like use it to
just organic?
Right.
Like, I mean, push them somewhere. I mean, dude, if I had that big of a TikTok, I mean, I got to push them somewhere. That's a really good leverage point.
Yeah.
How do you take the calls?
Google Meet.
Why don't you, can you record it?
Yeah, I can. I just don't
Bro,
record it.
okay, so, bro, yeah, like, that's like, because you got to get sales feedback.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so,
I know.
so, if you're on Google Meet, record that, and then if you take it on a phone, there's an app, it's like $10. It's called Tape. It's all one word, Tape a Call.
Okay.
And what you do is you'll open the app, you call the number, and then you just basically, it'll merge it, and then as soon as it clicks, it'll make a beep, and it records the whole call.
Okay.
Yeah, record the calls, because
Yeah.
like whatever's happening, you either have an app issue, a sales issue, or both. I think with those questions that'll help you, because there's no reason, like think of it this way, there's no reason for you to take a call if they can't make the move. That's the whole point of the app. So if you're just letting people book, oh, I can't do anything yet, it's like, that's an app issue. It's like, that's stupid. And then what happens is when they do the app, you can reach out and say, hey, saw your app, just wanted to clarify. And if they're not good, like, okay, so it's not a great time right now. If you can at least put a deposit down, let's schedule out in the future.
Right.
So you don't waste your time, because it's not worth the conversation. So let's just go through your sales call. Okay, so the first, there's really kind of like 7 parts.
Right.
Okay, so the first part is the intro pre-frame. You can make the pre-frame harder depending on what's happening on the call. So let me give you an example. If everyone's coming to the call at the end and they're like, oh, I got to think about it, this and that. Yes, you need to raise your sales ability, but an easy way to beat that would be, okay, so by the end of the call, you can give me a yes or no. And that's not something I do anymore because I'm more skilled, but when I was less experienced, it helped me because when you get to the end, you're not sure like how to handle the objection.
Right.
You can go back to that. Okay, so the next thing is the questions and the overview. Give me the normal things. They're just like, I'm brand new, I have an app, but I haven't launched it. Or like, what's the normal?
Yeah, it's like even if they did launch, it's like so recent, and we're now starting to get into marketing, and like I just saw your ad.
So basically, it's like I have an app and I have no idea how to get downloads, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So you're good then. That's perfect because you're like, all you have to do is go, great, I'm going to show you how. You don't really have to dig deep because they're like, yeah, I have an app and I don't know what I'm doing. That's perfect. Yeah. Those are the easiest people to sell because they have a huge desire. Remember, like if someone doesn't have desire with you, even when we had our call, the reason a guy like you, that's a great call for us, but it's also sometimes harder because you're like, yeah, I don't really need it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're doing 80K a month, you're like, you could have just been like, no, I'm good.
Right.
But if you're like a beginner and it's like, I have an app, I've put all this time and energy into it, I don't know how to market, that's like massive need, right? So that's good. So you're actually in a great spot. There's not a lot you need to do here because there's nothing they have. So the 3 pillars, okay? Now, the whole point of discovery, this part, is so that you have the information of where they're at. So here, you're like, here's the proper path. So here's the easiest way to think about the call and how it should sound. You have 3 pillars. So I don't know if you remember our call. I'll just use that as the example. But our first pillar was like offer creation, and we kind of like walked you through that. And we're like, here's what most people do, here's what we do. Then this one, we're like, we have a faucet system. Here's what most people do, here's what we do. Then we're like, this one is process. And this was like an authority play, right? Because a guy like you, we're like, look, we know there's a lot of people out there. We know you've seen a lot of ads. But the reason you hire us is we have been in business for 6 years. We have 40,000 clients. We've done 70 million in sales. We're specific to what you want to do. We're going to give you a lot of attention. So that's like our, like, hire us, okay?
Right.
So you want to do the same thing. So the 3 pillars, let's start there. The 3 pillars need to be the top reasons why someone would work with you. So like, if you're explaining it to me, what are the top 3 reasons why someone will work with you that is like, you're like, oh, this is like a no-brainer. Like, what is it you do that is super unique and why I should hire you?
I think first of all, like personally, us coming from a creative background, we understand how to record ads in a really easy way. I think for a lot of founders, they hate recording content. So we try to make that a really fun process by giving them the scripts.
Okay, so creative ads, what else?
The organic content, so just building like a base around the ads. So
you do the content for them? Or
we don't do it for them, we show them how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
what
like,
else?
And then the mass promotion campaigns, so like referral campaigns, refer a friend, you get $5. And then that's how you like build more steam upon your app and just like, get a bunch
what
of
else?
Those are like the 3 main pillars of what we teach, but I'd say there's like subsections under everything. So like our media buyer's really skilled. He runs ads for Snapchat, Bacardi. We show them like the easiest way without spending a bunch of time managing backend. We also, if they want, we provide a creator, so like a UGC creator that they can hire in order to record the content for them.
That. Okay.
But we haven't gone too hard on that part of it. Like up until now, it's just been like, the founder records the content, but that's something we're dabbling into a little bit.
So really all you need to do is get them to believe that whatever you're gonna do is gonna get them 10,000 downloads, period. So that's gonna be one of them, is like, we can maybe come down here. So we'll put that in. I think to me, the biggest things here is like, we'll come up with a name for it, but it's ads and creative. Okay, so it's like, we're gonna show you our whole marketing system, etc. I'd also say like this. That to me, okay, so here, let me give you an example. So what we wanna do is create a buzzword. The buzzword doesn't matter, it just makes people think it's like way better. So instead of saying, I'm gonna give you a chicken broccoli diet, you're like, I'm giving you the Superman diet, right? And they're like, whoa, right? Yeah. So this here, you could be like, all right, so pillar number 1 is what we call the faucet system. This one is, you could be like free money promotion, free money promo, or like, I don't know, yeah, something like that, or you like the charity promo or whatever. It just don't say referral because it sounds boring.
Yeah.
Process, and then like I'll walk you through what it would sound like and what you want to do. Experience, specificity, and then what you want to do is what they do. Okay, so just always keep this in mind when you're explaining your pillars. What we do. If you do this, you're gonna get a lot more closes. What I'm probably guessing you're doing on the calls is you're like, all right, so the first thing is we do this. The second thing is we do this. The third thing is we do this. And they're like, oh, that sounds great. But remember, a beginner does not know the difference. The next thing from here is then like I'll pause and I'll just say, okay, are there any questions? Okay, like, and then you answer all the questions. Remember, you never go to drop the price until you feel their certainty is as high as possible. So remember, you've got all the data here so you understand them. This is like how you raise their certainty as high as you can, and then you answer questions, because if they're still confused, like, you gotta clear it up. Raises certainty. So yeah, what you do here is you finish, you're like, any questions? No. Then what I would recommend you do is, I don't always do this, it depends on the person, but like a brief overview. What the brief overview would be is like, okay, so when you come in, you're gonna have a one-to-one coach, Facebook group, this, that, very brief. Like I'm talking like, this could be 2 minutes or less. Okay. And just so they understand the deliverables. That's basically your deliverables. Right. Once they do that, you'll go for the close, okay? And then obviously you handle objections and you wrap up. So what you wanna do before you go to the price is have your certainty as high as possible. If you do this, the certainty will go up, and then your question, that will also kind of let you know where they're at. So if they're giving you like, yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty good, that's not certain. Certain is like, yes. Yeah. So also listen for that, because I hear people say, well, they said yes. I'm like, did he say yes? Listen how it sounds. Right. Yes. Yeah, yes. Yeah. That is not, you understand? So make sure you're listening for that tonality. Let's go through all the objections. So the first one's price. That's the most common. Okay. Yeah. Now, I'll walk you through it. So, close. All right, so the price of the program is $6K. Shut up. Yeah. They say, yeah, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, 3, agree. No problem. No problem. I totally understand. Let me ask you this. Before I get into anything else, this is key, right? You can only fight one thing at a time, so you have to isolate. So what that means is like, push you in a corner. Yeah. Okay? So here you go, totally get that. Before I get into the price, is there anything else about the program that you didn't like, or is it just price? Okay? Once you do that, that's called a tie down. If they say, a tie down means, so you isolate it, is there anything besides price? They go, yes, or no, excuse me. They go, no, it's just price. That's one tie down. You do a double tie down. Okay, so this is called a, you wanna do it twice to make sure that before you go into price, they have said, if you figure out price, I will move forward. So I go, got it. So what that means to me is if we're able to figure out the price, you're able to move forward today. Is that accurate? You need them to say this. If they go, well, you go, look, I'm not getting into price unless I know you can move forward if I figure it out for you. Because if I'm gonna figure something out with you on price, I need to know you're gonna move forward today. That's a fair deal. Remember, a lot of sales is not pushy. When I say push on calls, I'm just telling people like, go through the progression. It's not a big deal. Like with you, if you had gotten there and you wouldn't have done it, I'm like, well, dude, look, like no pressure, but is there anything besides price? She's like, no, it's just the price. I'm like, okay. So you know what the price of the program is, right? Okay, so what's your cash on hand? We'll get into that. Now for you, Your program is 6K. So what I want to ask you is, how low are you willing to go? Like, are you willing to let someone in for less than that? Or you're like, that is literally bare bones, like it's not even worth it?
I think like 5K is the max I'd go.
5, okay. So, and how long is the program?
8 weeks.
Yeah, so that's not even like, so it's like that's basically 2.5 a month. That's nothing. Okay. They're either going to be like, well, I only have like $5,000. Well, if they have $5,000 and that's the lowest you'll go, let's say they said that, you're like, okay, cool. So just so I'm clear, you have $5,000 you can invest, yes? Okay. So if I'm able to work out a solution where you can invest that, are you willing to move forward today? You ask it again. And if they say yes, you're like, great. So here's what I'll do for you. You get the 5, close the deal.
Yep.
It's very simple. Now, because you don't want to go below 5, let's say they go, well, I can only do 1,000. Well, now the call's really easy to wrap up, because if you've made the decision that I won't go below 5, and you're like, okay, cool. So just so I'm clear, you literally can only have 1,000. There's no extra cash, no extra reserves, nothing you can do, right? They're like, no, that's literally all I can do. Well, now you don't have to go back and forth for an hour because they just told you, right? Like you can't pull money out of people's ass.
Right.
That's not the goal of this objection. The goal is like, where are they at? So you know if it's really money. Because I've had some people say, oh, it's price. And they're like, well, I had a guy yesterday. He's like, well, I have 16,000. I just don't want to spend it. It's like, okay, so it's not really a price issue. It's a certainty issue.
Right.
But let's say they say 1,000. So what I do in this case, and this will be in the trainings and stuff, so make sure you get the scripts. It's all there.
Okay.
I do what I call a delayed payment. Okay, so let's do this. So first we have this one. Ask for cash on hand. Oh, I have $5,000. Got it. So if I'm able to make that work for you, you can move forward today. Yes. Okay, take it. That's the easiest one. If they say below that, so for you, 2.5 is the lowest you can go per month in 8 weeks, right? You can also charge people weekly. If you ever get someone who's really broke, you're just like, you charge weekly. Okay. But so let's say they're 1,000. What I do is I go, okay, cool. So here's what I would propose. And just before I give you a suggestion, you definitely want to do the program. You just don't have enough funds, right? Yes? Great. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do in this case is we'll work with you, but just to show that you're serious, we're going to ask for a refundable deposit. So that holds your spot. We can prep for you. And then when you're able to come in a month or whatever they say, you're able to move forward. Does that sound fair enough? And if they say no, you're like, okay, well, like, why? Well, I just don't really want to do that and stuff. It's like, okay, I totally get it. But you can have one of two things. You can say, well, that's how we do business. Or if you lower the price for people, what I do is I'm like, well, dude, look, like there's no pressure. But if I'm going to lower the price for you, I need you to do something for me today. If you can't do something for me today, you got to come back and pay full price. That's another thing you could do, right? So you can let people know, like, well, look, if you put down the deposit, I'll knock off $1,000, whatever. The goal is that you get the card every call. Okay, so time. But really, when someone is saying time, like, yeah, it's not the right time. I can do it next month. I don't have any cash flow, etc. Like those people shouldn't have gotten on a call in the first place.
Right.
We vet on our app. It's like, when can you move forward? If they say in 2 months, it's like, okay, talk to us in 2 months. What the f- are we wasting our time for? Well, I just want to know. It's like, no, that's a waste of our time. Like, you come on calls to make decisions. We're not getting on calls to just get info. Like, you can get info for free without wasting our time. So if it's a time objection, they're like, well, I want to do it. I just want to do it next month. You're like, cool. So just so I'm clear, remember, we do the tie down. So let's start here. Tie down. Okay, so cool. So just so I'm clear, you want to do the program, it's just you want to start next month. That's all it is, right? Right. Okay. So if I'm able to figure that out for you today, are you able to move forward? And they'll be like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, if I'm able to figure out a solution for your time situation, you're able to move forward. You got to get these tie downs because there's no point in solving a problem until they've given you a commitment. Okay? Because if I go to you and I'm like, hey, if I figure out this price, will you move forward? You're like, well, then you're not certain. So I'm like, well, wait, what do you mean? Like, I thought you said you were certain. You're like, well, so you want to make sure they're certain before you do it. So it's like, got it. So if I'm able to figure the time solution out for you, could you move forward today? They're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, I'll get to that, but I just want to make sure if I could figure out a way for you to start today, right? Or get your foot in the door, would you do that? Because you definitely want to get in. It's just like, you don't want to start till next month when your app launches, right? Yeah, great. Then what you do is you just go to delayed payment. Because if it's truly a timing issue, that's the easiest. So I had a guy do this to me, same thing. He's like, well, I'm traveling this and that. And I was like, well, look, what I would recommend in this situation, just to be clear, you want to move forward, right? Okay, cool. So what we do in this situation is we just take a refundable deposit. You don't have to say refundable either. You could just say deposit. Typically, like people put deposits down are serious because someone who isn't, they're not, even if it's refundable, they're not going to give you their card. So that's how you know if they're bull. Because a lot of people talk a lot of shit, and when it comes time to pay the piper, they won't do it. So I go, look, so what we do in this situation is my team has to get prepped for you. And so what I like to ask you to do, you want to move forward, right? Okay, great. So what we'll do in this case is you'll just put down a refundable deposit, and then we'll get you in the program, get you like ready to onboard, whatever. I don't know if you guys have a course and stuff, but what we do is you'll get them in, we get them in, and depending on what you guys want to do, sometimes we'll give them access to our course, sometimes we won't, etc. But we'll get them in, or I'll say like, look, we'll get you in the course of the Facebook group. You won't start the one-to-one, but you'll get like a head start. And if you don't look at anything for a month, it doesn't matter anyways, right? So it's a win-win. Because like, well, I won't have time. It's like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're not getting charged anything.
Right.
Let's do spouse and business partner.
Yeah.
Okay. So first thing you do, okay? Yeah, this sounds great. I just got to run it by my business partner or my spouse. Doesn't matter. Okay. So the first thing you do is go, no problem. What are you going to do if they say no? That's a good one. So one of two things will happen. They'll say, well, I'll just do it anyways.
Yeah.
And you go, great, so let's just do it. Right? Because that makes no sense.
Yeah,
If they're going to do it anyways, why do we need to talk to the business partner?
I usually ask, what if they don't give you permission?
What do they say?
They're like, so sometimes they're like, yeah, even if they don't, like, I'm probably still gonna do it. And I'm like, okay, cool, like, then let's get started. And he's like, but I don't wanna make a decision without them, like, knowing that I'm making this decision. So it's like more of like a friendly thing. I don't know. And I don't know what to do when they say that.
Delayed payment. You're like, cool, so you're 100% gonna sign up. So let's walk through that. What are you gonna do if they say no? Well, I'll do it anyways. All right, let's get started. Well, you know, I still wanna tell them and all this other. You're like,
Right.
cool. So so you're definitely gonna do it, 100%, right? No questions asked. You just gotta let them know, right? Great. So what I do in this situation, delayed payment. So what I do in this situation, I'll just take a refundable deposit. You go let them know what you're doing. You just come back, and then we get the rest of the paperwork. Sound fair enough? And if they say no, again, think about it. Is that logical? Anytime the convo starts to be illogical, they're full.
Yeah.
Every time. What are you gonna do if they say no? Well, I wouldn't do it. Okay. You go, what would they say? And then usually, this is the main one you usually get. Like I say, this is 80-20. They'll say, well, I'll do it anyways, 20% of the time. They'll usually say this 80% of the time.
Okay.
They're like, well, I wouldn't do it. You go, well, cool, what would they say? And then they'll usually say, well, they say price, or they'd say this, and then you just attack that objection. Because that's the actual issue, it's not spouse.
Right.
So it's a smoke screen. Now, if I do this, when someone keeps bringing up the same objection, it's real. So usually the rule's 3 times. So when I did door-to-door sales, the way you know it's a fake objection is that, oh, it's the price. And I beat that, and then oh, it's my spouse. Oh, it's this. They switch. If it's a real objection, like they genuinely believe it, they'll keep saying the same thing. So you'll be like, well, what do you do if they say no? I wouldn't do it. Well, what would they say? Well, they probably say price. Let's say you figure out the price. You're like, yeah, but I'm still not going to do it until I talk to them. So that's the second time they've done it. So then you go to the third one. Okay. The third one is then you use past agreements, right? So what that means is you go, well, okay, so just so I'm clear, does your business partner know you're on this call? Does your business partner know that you guys are struggling? Does your business partner want you guys to do better? Does your business, like all that stuff, they're like, yes, 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 yes. You're like, okay, so why would they be opposed of you doing something that is gonna help the company make more revenue and da-da-da? Now, if they still say no, then you go to number 4, and that's delayed payment because you can't push anymore, right? So then if they still like, I still can't do it, I'm like, well, look, okay, I'll tell you what. You go back to your business partner. Let's do this. You go ahead and put down a refundable deposit. If you go back to your business partner and he says he doesn't want you to make more money, he doesn't want more downloads, he doesn't want to build out the faucet system, he doesn't want the cash referral program, if he says that, just come back to me, I'll refund you, we'll call it a day. Sound fair enough? And if they still won't do it, again, they're full of shit. Like, I've just done sales for so long, there's no reason when you're being reasonable that people can't do it if they really want to do it. First thing you need to do before you hire, okay? SOP.
Right.
Okay, so remember, 4 more on. Okay, so Again, did you read $100 Million Leads?
Yeah, like
Okay,
6
so, okay,
times.
so read the part about the team. It talks about this. Perfect. If they can't follow your SOP and get the result you want, the SOP is not clear enough. 2 is you do an application for hiring, okay? So there's a lot of questions you can ask, and I can show you examples if you'd like, but really, like, what do you think are the first positions you're gonna hire for?
Probably some sort of fulfillment.
That's usually what I
Yeah,
start
like
with. So it's
coaches.
usually fulfillment, and then it's like a setter, and then sales. That's
Right.
usually in that one.
Yeah.
So usually what you're looking for in the application is just, will they fit your culture? So you might ask questions like, are you willing to work 40 hours? Are you able to be remote? Are you able to do this? Are you able to do that? Whatever. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2 is then experience. So the goal in a perfect world is you want someone who fits your culture and experience. So it's 10 skill, 10 culture. Okay? Culture is like think of the traits you admire the most about your brother, and that would be like your culture. When you're doing the applications, you ask questions that lets you know if they're a culture fit or they're a skill fit. So skills, like, obviously that's just like experience. Have you ever been a coach before? If you've coached, like that stuff. The other one is like, do you know how to run, or this would be like, do you know how to do Facebook ads? Do you know how to build an app? Have you built an app before? This is like, are you willing to do 40 hours a week? You know, what type of environment you look like? Whatever questions you feel will help you with that.
Right.
Okay? The interview. Okay? So on the interview, you're trying to scare them. Okay, so what I mean by that is you want to make it sound way worse than it is to work for you. So when people get on the interview, what I do is I go, all right, so I'm going to walk you through a couple things. I'll have questions. You can ask me questions. So the first thing is like, so here's the company mission. Here's the company values. If you don't like to work hard, you're not competitive, you don't like to work long hours, this and that, you won't like it here. You're going to hate it. Like, because remember, bro, the worst thing you can do is a wrong hire.
Yeah.
Like I will wait. I'll wait sometimes 3 to 6 months to hire someone. I'm not lowering my standard. The next thing then is jobs you've had and day to day. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say a sales guy's producing for you. He's closing a load of deals. You're like, hell yeah, rock hard, right? And then he starts showing up late. He stops filling out his sheets. He's not answering you in an efficient manner. Other sales reps see it. They start doing it. They're not as good as him. Then you get started getting, because you're like, well, he's better than you and stuff like that. But that's not fair. It creates a whole culture of bull. So that's why you always hire culture over skill. Okay? What I'm doing here is I'm just like, what jobs have you had, and walk me through a day to day. Because I want to see if they actually know what they're talking about. You always want open-ended questions. You don't want yes or no's. Like your Calendly, yes or no's is the worst ones.
Right.
I'll ask them about specific like software if needed. So like if it's a coach, or even if it's a setter, I'm like, cool. So like, what softwares are you familiar with? And don't say just familiar with. Say, what softwares? If we got on a second Zoom call and I asked you to show me how it works, you could show me. The next thing I really do is I'll say, what's a perfect company look like for you? So then what I do here is I go, so Sai, let's say you work for me, right? And remember, how you ask the questions is important. Because a lot of people go, well, what's a perfect company look like for you? It's a question. Ask it like this. So I go, so Sai, let's say you work for me, okay? And someone said, Sai, what do you do for work? You're like, I work for Tanner now. And you're like, how do you like it? You go, like, what do you really care about?
Yeah.
So you see how they think. And then the last one that I usually do is then how much do you want to make? Okay? The reason I do that, for 2 reasons. Okay? So let's say your budget in your head is $5,000. Okay? If they say way higher than that, then you can be like, well, hey man, I'll be honest with you, like, that's just not gonna work for our budget. Like, are you open to doing like something else or not really? Is that your hard minimum? So typically what I wanna see where they're at. Sometimes they'll say below it. So for example, if your budget's 5,000, like, well, I mean, I'd be happy with $4,000. Well, now you can do one of two things. You either pay them less, which is good, right? Or you can work in a bonus incentive so they can get to 5. So like, well, look, I'll do what? I'll give you 4, but if you hit these metrics, we'll move you to 5. And like sometimes like a 90-day review is nice. So you're like, look, we'll start you at 4, but in 90 days, if you perform, we'll raise you. So like you see if they're gonna actually hit KPI. Because usually in 90 days, you know if they're a long-term player. Another reason we did this is like, we had a guy the other day who interviewed, really skilled. And I asked him, I was like, well, how much do you want to make? And let's just say he said 20,000. And for this position, like, it's really only like 10,000. and it was also based on where he lived and stuff like that. So I went back and I was like, he's full of shit. He's just trying to like get as high number as possible, which is fine. Like he can do that. That's fine. So I went back to him and I gave him half, less than half. I was like, yeah, we'll give you this. And he's like, oh, that's a little low. Could you do this? And the number literally was 50% less than what he asked. But let's get lunch and
Yeah,
stuff.
dude,
For
100%. I appreciate you, man.
Keep at it, man. 18 years old, bro.
Dude, you're the inspiration, bro.
No, bro, it's funny because like I started at 25, so when I see you, I'm like, damn, dude, if I started at 18, I'm like thinking, bro, I would be worth like 200 million by now. You probably will
That's
be.
the goal, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, dude.
Dude, 100%.
Thanks so
yeah,
much, man.
Let's get lunch.
Yeah, for sure, dude. All right, take care, man.
Okay, see you, bro.
Oh my God, I probably learned more these past 2 hours than I have in the past like 2 years. Like, I'm not even kidding. This has been really, really helpful. I think, especially with elite CEOs, like the one-on-one coaching I've gotten to, it's been so like tailored towards what I want. It's like, I need exactly this. And they're like, here's what you need, plug it into your business and it'll work. And that's how like I've grown a pretty decent bit. And like with Tanner's expertise, it's just been like next level. Okay, so if you're watching this right now, go sign up for Elite CEOs, 100% worth it.